Accused of shooting and killing another man in Manitowoc Tuesday morning, appearing in court today. 20-year-old Kirk Dunn allegedly shot and killed a man early Tuesday morning. That shooting taking place on Dewey Street. The victim was driven away from that scene and ended up on South 17th Street instead of at a hospital. Officers arrived and attempted to save that man's life, but he did die at the scene. In a First Alert update, Jamal James has details from Kirk's initial hearing today.
Inside the Manitowoc County Courthouse on Wednesday, emotions were tense. 20-year-old Kirk Dunn facing multiple felony charges with the possibility of life in prison. The family saying this all started over a woman.
In reality, it's over a female. My big brother wouldn't, if he would have taken his time to talk, they wouldn't be at this point of stage.
This is one of the victim's brothers sharing his pain from the loss, emphasizing to the judge that Kirk shouldn't have a bond, or at the very minimum set it to $2 million.
My brother's a good dude, and for him to take the time to kill my brother instead of taking his time to talk with my brother and to get to know him, it hurts me.
Police are accusing Kirk of shooting and killing the victim with a .40 caliber pistol. Officials say the suspect shot 8 bullets in total, 2 of them striking the victim and 3 other rounds going into a nearby building. Prosecutors adding that Kirk also admitted to coming outside with a loaded rifle when looking for more ammunition. Dunn's bond is set at $500,000, and there's no contact with the victim's family, witnesses, Dewey Street, and he's not allowed to possess firearms. His next initial appearance will be starting at September 29th at 1:30. Reporting in Manitowoc, Jamal James, Action 2 News.